Hey,
Hey guys.
everyone, this is Mike.
Yep, and this is Josh and me and Mike. Oh, and this is Must See Before You Die. And me and Mike have both made it to the sequel of Scream 2.
Yes.
Mike, I think if we were really in a horror movie, I don't know if me and you would technically make it. I don't think neither of us are outrunning a ghost face. That's for sure.
Always said if I'm in the woods and a bear comes, I'm the dead one. I mean, if I'm in the ocean and sharks there, I'm the dead one.
Yeah, we're not out. Neither of us, and usually ghost faces are in pretty good shape. I mean,
yeah, what's up with all these Scream movies? They never have a fat character in it. You know, some of the movies always have a fat guy or fat kid that eats candy all the time. There's not any in the Scream movies that I've seen so far.
No, well, we've only seen 2 so far, but right. Yeah, you're right. So Scream 2 came out in 1997. It is rated R. It is a Wes Craven movie. He directed it. The Rotten Tomatoes score on this one, Mike, is an 82% for critics, which is higher than Scream by 2% for critics. But the audience score is a lot lower. It's 57%. Personally, I have a lot of nostalgia for this one because I think this is like the second horror movie I ever saw in theater. The first one being I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then I saw Scream 2. My dad actually took my sister and me to see this in '97, and we really liked it. And I think that's why I have good nostalgia for it, and I like it because I actually saw it in the theater. And it was one of the first ones that I, rated R movie when I was like whatever age, and I really liked it. I like the who done it on this one, Mike. I think they elevated that a little bit here, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I told you that it had been many years since I'd watched it, and I knew who. I'll go ahead and say it now. There's multiple killers in it.
Yep.
But I remembered who one was, but I actually forgot who the other one was. And then when I watched it again today, Anthony was in there saying, "Yeah, it's so and so and so and so." My wife, it was the first time she'd ever seen it. She liked it. She liked some of the the characters in it that were in it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as the first one, though. I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you up front. I don't think it's as good as the first one.
No, but I like that this movie is all about commentary on sequels. That's what I like about it. Mm-hmm. Like this movie's they have a discussion in the classroom about how sequels are inferior to the original. I mean, they're like calling it out right there. I mean, they're not pulling any punches.
They do a really good job of making fun of themselves and making fun of sequels. That's what I like about these movies in the Scream series because they're a little. It's horror movie slasher stuff, but it's a little bit lighthearted, and they think it's okay to talk about themselves and pick on themselves, and I think that's pretty cool.
And I like that, like everything that we know about horror movies, they know all about, like all the slashers that have been made. They know about those. Like those are all canon in this universe, and I really like that. So let's talk about the opening scene here, which I think Scream has really good opening scenes, especially the first movie. I don't think they can ever top that personally, but this one does a good job of. They actually did 2 kills for the sequel in the beginning, which I really like, and I really like they added a movie within the movie. I like this.
Dude, I used to be an usher in a movie theater, and I would have been going off on people acting that way in the movie theater. They were acting crazy, man, jumping up and down and trying to kill people, throwing popcorn.
I love it, Mike.
I just said, "Shut up,
Mike." I love that, dude. I told Michelle, I said, "Have you ever been to a theater this freaking awesome?" And she's like, "No," and I was like, "I've been to a theater that was really cool, like when I went and seen." What was it? The Dark Knight, the one with Heath Ledger as the Joker. Like there was people in there dressed as Batman characters. It was really cool, and people were like clapping and applauding and yelling, and that was a lot of fun. But nothing to the scope of this movie.
A Rocky Horror. If you've ever been to a Rocky Horror movie film where they show that, it gets pretty crazy too because they bring the toast in, they bring the rice. They're throwing it. It's a mess. That's pretty cool. That's probably one of the most interactive movies I've ever been to. But yeah, they were nuts in this one. I mean, absolutely nuts.
They had like lightning things. They had They had
Things
like a
glowed,
guy.
the knives glowed too, or something.
Yeah, they had a guy cranking like a flying ghost face above them. But I love that there's a movie universe within this series about the events from the
Yeah.
former movie. Like Stab is about Scream 1, which I like. I think the name Stab's kind of fun. Like it's called Stab because the guy
Yep.
stabbed. And it has an opening scene of a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and they go to the college, and they're here to see a premiere. It's like a sneak peek premiere. Like it's not just open to the public yet, and you had to get like exclusive tickets to be able to be there. And they go here, and she's kind of a jerk, played by Jada Pinkett Smith. So, and who would have figured? And so her boyfriend's like, they hit out like Scream costumes to every freaking person. That would not be cost effective. They're handing out these full Scream costumes to everybody. Ghostface, I mean. And like you said, the knives glow and stuff. And they're all watching the Stab movie, the beginning scene with Casey Becker, but it's not actually played by Drew Barrymore. It's played by Heather Graham in the Stab movie. And so they're watching this, and the boyfriend's like, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom or whatever. And he goes in the bathroom, and there's like two Ghostface. And that's the cool thing about this, is there's so many people dressed as Ghostface, Mike.
You don't know who it is.
Yeah. There's I remember when me and my sister were sitting next to each other, of course, we went and seen that movie. I remember she goes, oh, do you think one of those guys is the killer? One of the guys at the urinal. Like, that's the kind of, like, you had that feeling, like, you don't know. It could be anybody in this theater. It could be Ghostface, killer.
I do have to admit, it had one of the best, right off the bat, the kill scene in the bathroom.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, well, he's, like, listening to the stall, and all of a sudden, Ghostface smokes him in the side of the head with a knife, dude.
I forgot about that one, and then I saw it, and then I saw him in the back, and then it dawned on me. I was like, yeah, he gets killed in trying to listen in on, because he heard something going like, here, whatever. It sounded like a Scooby-Doo in there. And then all of a sudden, that knife comes right through the head, and you're like, oh.
Yep.
And then he takes his jacket, goes back into the movie theater, and sits right beside his girlfriend.
And she thinks it's him.
Yeah.
And she's like, give it a rest. Like, she's mad. She's like, give it a rest. Like, take off the Ghostface mask or whatever. And they're like, whatever. And all of a sudden, he just takes out the knife and just stabs her in the gut and stuff, and stabs her a bunch.
And the dramatic death up in front of everybody in front of the screen was pretty cool, I have to admit.
Yeah. And she died right there. I mean, in front of everybody. Everybody thought it was an act at first.
I thought it was
part of the show.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it turned out to be real. So I do really like this opening sequence, Mike. Of course, it's not as good as the first, but I think it's a hell of an opening sequence. So
it's not bad, but as soon as I watched the movie with my wife, we asked the question, why them? Why? And it's an African-American couple. They kind of make fun of white ladies or white girls getting killed and doing stupid stuff. And I thought that was funny. It was great.
Yeah.
But then me and my wife were like, why did they kill these random people? And then it comes out later on down the road.
Yeah.
We picked up on it that they were killing people based off the first killings based off their names. So evidently this couple had the first name or last name of somebody that was killed in the first one. So it came back and made sense.
So the boyfriend, I think his last name was Steven or something, or his first name. And the boyfriend that got killed in the first one that was tied to the chair, his name was Stephen Orr or Orf or something. So that's why. And then the girlfriend, her name was Maureen, and that was Sydney's mom's name. So that's why they got killed.
It made sense. Watching it for the first time, and even this time being many years later, I didn't pick up on that until they said it in the movie. So if you're not paying attention, you'll probably question that too.
Yeah, I think well, would they say that the girlfriend, I think, was standing in line, was like, I'd rather go see this Sandra Bullock movie.
Yeah.
And then her boyfriend's like, oh yeah, because she's like, oh, I'm going to see this movie with white people dying in it and stuff or whatever. It's funny. And then he was like, yeah, and Sandra Bullock's a beacon for the African-American community. I thought that was funny. Like, he was teasing her. I thought it was funny how they were talking back and forth. Yeah. I liked it. I really liked this beginning, Mike. I thought it was really good setup. So, and then the Stab franchise becomes a big part of this movie going forward, Mike. I mean, it's in like every. I mean, the third movie's based on like whole things take place and like a stab production. So I mean, it becomes bigger and bigger in this movie franchise. But you meet, all the usual suspects are back from the first one. You got Sydney, Randy, Gail, Dewey. They're all back. And what did you think? Did you like any of the progression from these characters to this second movie, Mike, or did you think that some of them just kind of like the same?
No, I thought they were good. I actually the comedic guy that got kind of shot in the first one. What's his name? The kind of the jokester.
Yeah, Randy.
Randy. I like his character. I kind of hate, spoiler
Yep.
alert, he gets killed in the movie. I kind
Yes.
of liked his character because he was the one that was always bringing up other movie scenes and movie plots and stuff. I kind of hate they killed him off in this movie, but I really like his character. The rest of them were fine, and even the new characters they brought in were fine.
Yeah, I have that right here. I have Derek as Sid's boyfriend, and this guy looks too preppy to be with Sydney, in my opinion. The guy's wearing like a button-up shirt tucked in with like a
He's the only one. Now he is medical. He's supposed to be going into medical school, but
yeah, but
none of the other kids at that college are wearing that.
Like Sydney would, I don't feel like Sydney would date this type of dude.
Sydney would be a rocker, man, with some dude with leather jacket or something.
Well, look like Billy Loomis was like kind of a bad kind of like dude.
Crazy dude,
right? And then you had Mick or Mickey is a new friend of this group. He's like a friend of Derek and Sydney and Randy and stuff. He's like a movie guy like Randy though.
Yeah.
Like
I like that they had the movie. They were going like it was film and drama too. I thought that was pretty cool. They did some great stuff later on. You'll probably talk about that.
And then you got Sydney's kind of like new friend, like Tatum was in the first one. Her name's Haley. And
I like that character. I thought
Yeah. So a little behind the scenes, Haley in a like a rough draft or whatever, she originally was penned to be a Ghostface killer at one point.
Really? Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard that. Can't be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I heard that. Well, and also they're all in college here. This is all takes place at the college. Gail Weathers is here as well. I don't know if I mentioned her. Oh yeah, I did mention. But she had a book come out called The Woodsboro Murders, and so that was really popular, and that's what they're basing Stab on and all that.
We forgot Cotton. Cotton comes back too in this movie.
Cotton Weary's in this movie. Yep. He had like 2 seconds in the last movie, like on TV footage. He wasn't even in the movie hardly, but this movie he has a way.
The way they did this movie and him and pulling it in, and is he the killer? Is he not the killer?
He's a red herring. He's a red herring for sure.
Yeah.
I actually had that next. Cotton's in this movie right after the Gail Weathers. Like I had Cotton, and she helped prove that he was. Cotton Weary in this movie is a little bit of like a fame-seeking person. He wants to get like anything that he can. He feels like he's owed it for everything that he was put through. He wants like Sydney to do like an interview with Diane Sawyer, and she says no, and it really takes him off. He gets real kind of like pushy and aggressive with her, and he was like, "No, you." He like grabbed her by the arm and stuff. And I noticed that this movie has other stars in it. Like Sarah Michelle Gellar, who has like a smaller part.
Yeah, she gets killed close to the very beginning.
Yeah, she was in a movie this same year. I think that was the same year, but she was in a larger starring role, and I know what she did last summer.
Yeah,
in this same year, and also her show Buffy the Vampire Slayer was blowing up. So I mean, she was kind of like all over the place at this point, and her name is Cece in this movie, and actually her name. In real life, or not in real life, but in the movie is Cece's a nickname, but her name's Casey. So if that comes back into it too, because Casey Becker, Cece, Casey. Right. So she's actually a victim in this. She is a kind of a cool kill, Mike. She gets stabbed in the back and then thrown off like a second-story balcony onto pavement, dude. I kind of like that. I thought
the person had to be strong to do that because they threw her like a rag doll. It's like, boom.
Well, she's not very big. She's not a very big. Now, one of the things that Michelle, when I was watching with Michelle, she was like, she kind of said this. I think this person's a killer, but she had no idea who the second killer was.
Michelle thought Dewey was the killer most of the movie. And she'd
Interesting.
never seen this movie before. So she thought Dewey was the killer. That was brought up by your boy Randy early on. He's like, hey, what about you? What about me? What about Gail? You know, I mean,
Right. Well, I wrote down Dewey's rules for a sequel, and we'll get to those.
yeah,
We'll
we'll get to that. I got a question on that. So yeah, I can't wait till we get to that.
We'll get to that. So Sid got attacked by Ghostface. I mean, Sydney is like straight tough, man. She's like, come get me. I don't freaking care. Like, quit with this bull crap. Like, you know, I killed Sue and Billy. Like bring it on, basically. And then he was like, yep, came out right out, attacked her. And then her boyfriend ran in, and mysteriously her boyfriend somehow just got lacerated on the arm.
Yeah.
And it was very suspicious, wasn't it, Mike?
Yep.
And I mean, this guy, you know, I didn't never think he could be the killer, but they definitely tried their hardest to make you think he was.
They tried to sell it.
Yep. And then his name's Derek. Oh, and then we got to talk about this silly musical number in the movie, which I think I don't get it. I don't know why it's in there. It's kind of silly. And like their friend Mickey kind of is involved. He's up clapping with them and stuff. And Derek gets up on these tables and sings I Think I Love You, that song. And yeah, he just really, you know, he wants to show Sydney that. But it's kind of like, it just feels out of place to me, Mike. Well, how do you feel
I felt
about
like the movie, and it's just my humble opinion, I felt like the movie was too long. It was like a 2-hour movie. It could have been done in an hour and 30, hour and 40 minutes. That's like 3 or 4 minutes of filler right there. That, to me, I mean, it's okay, it's in there, but you know, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the 90 to 100-minute movie. I mean, that's just me personally.
Right. So Randy, and I love this part. I love Randy's character. And I was really upset when he got killed in this movie. I remember me and my sister were like, wait, Randy's dead? Like, he made it through the first movie, now he's dead. Like, okay, whatever. But I like this part between Dewey and Randy, because Dewey's kind of like not really into the whole horror genre. I don't think he knows a lot about it, but like Randy knows
everything.
To me, Randy kind of reminds me of like a Quentin Tarantino type, where the guy like worked at a video store. He knows all about the movies and he has like this knowledge and stuff. And that's what it reminds me of. But his rules of a sequel is, number 1, body count is always bigger. That's rule number 1, Mike. And that's true usually.
Yep.
They try to outdo the first on body count. Number 2, death scenes are more elaborate, more blood, more gore.
Yep. I agree with that.
The third rule is,
it said never, never, and then it stopped. And I was like, what the hell's never, never what?
He got interrupted.
He did.
Because Dewey was like, well, like, what makes you not the killer or something? And then Randy says, Dewey, if I'm a suspect, you're a suspect. And Dewey goes, okay, let's move on then.
So what is number 3? That needs to be researched. What is number 3?
Now listen, I watched the Dead Meat episode on Scream 2, and they go in and there's like a deleted scene, or it's like an extra or something, and they do say, I think the rule is the killer, something about the killer, like more like unbeatable or something like that, more harder to kill or something like that. I think it was. But yeah, so I wrote that. Randy and Dewey talking is a great scene. I love it. And I love how Randy's still trying to hook up with Sydney. And then every time Sydney's with like her boyfriend, he's like, hi, Derek. I love that, dude.
I like the Randy character.
I like it where he's like, and he's in that film class, and people are like, what would you do in the sequel? And he goes, I say the geek gets the girl. And he sprays that Banaka or whatever in his mouth.
Yeah.
So, and then I really like this. I wanted to hear your thoughts about this, Mike. There's Sydney's in a school play, like a Greek like play or something. And it's a really cool part where all these people are dressed up in these robes and they're trying to stab her like during the play. One of them, she looks and it's Ghostface. And I think it's really cool how they mix it in, and she's like kind of disoriented and she looks over here and nothing. She looks over here and it's Ghostface. What'd you think of that scene, Mike?
I thought that was cool, but that's another one of those scenes I was like, what does this really add to the movie other than the finale takes place there? I
Right.
thought like, the whole conversation with her and her drama teacher or whatever, I was like, that's another one of those fillers I kind of felt like, and then when they made it look like she saw the ghost face, and then at the end, the guy takes his mask off and it's not a ghost face, but evidently there really was somebody in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It kind of made you wonder a little bit.
So I want to add this. So Gail Weathers in this is like there, but she's kind of, her and Dewey are kind of whatever. They're like talking and kind of like rekindling or whatever. And there's a woman, another reporter there, always trying to get the story ahead of Gail.
She's a local reporter.
She's like she's a what?
She called herself a local reporter.
Right. And Gail, and her name's Debbie Salt. And Gail's always kind of blowing her off or being like a bitch to her or something. Like always like this for your story, or like you're an amateur, you know what I mean? So that lady's always trying to get the scoop ahead of Gail, and she's in the movie sporadically. She's not in it a ton, but she's in it sporadically, and you don't think nothing of it. But Sydney at this point is really starting to think that her boyfriend is the killer, Mike. She's starting to think that Derek.
She's trying to break it off.
Huh?
She tries to break it off with him a couple times.
What she does, she goes, I just need my alone time. And he said, okay. You could tell he was like pissed. He was like, okay, whatever, like, fine. But how did you like the part where Randy got killed? Like, what did you think of his death scene?
I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, he got pulled into the truck and got killed. I mean, it could have been better. I thought his character maybe deserved a little better. It was pretty cool to see the film later on when they look at the video camera and the killer had been videoing the kills since the very beginning. But I just like Dewey in the last one, I hate that he got knocked out, and I hate that Randy got knocked out because I really liked his character.
Yeah,
I liked his knowledge of the horror movies he brought up constantly.
Me too. I really liked it. There's actually contemplation of in the third movie saying that he wasn't dead, but then they said no, that his death was too like, he was dead. Like they can't say that he wasn't dead because he was all, But they contemplated bringing him back in the third movie, Mike, like in a real role. Sydney also has these two cops following her, plainclothes cops following her because they're trying to get after her. They're in a police car, and Ghostface. This was a really cool scene. It's her friend Haley and her in the back seat, and the two cops in the front, and they stop at a stoplight or something, and then Ghostface comes through and slits the freaking one cop's throat, Mike, while he's driving. Pretty cool. And then the other cop gets out. Ghostface beats the crap out of this other cop. Like he doesn't even stand a chance. Slams his head against the door and all this. Then Ghostface gets in the car behind the wheel, runs into this cop. They slam into like a construction zone, and these metal poles go right through the cop's head through the windshield.
That was pretty gruesome.
That was awesome visual effects. It looked great. And the cop was still like twitching. Like this, like with a pole through his head.
Hell, for the cop to hang on the damn car going through the roads and stuff like he was impressed me.
But this also knocked Ghostface out, and this was kind of an intense scene because Sydney and Haley actually have to crawl over Ghostface, and when Sydney wants to take his mask off, but she actually lays on the horn, and you're like, oh God. Thought he was going to wake up just then, but he didn't.
Most horror movies, the guy with the mask on will come back and get you.
Right. And so Haley stays back, and Sydney goes, I got to go see who it is. She runs over. He's not in the seat. And she's like, he's not there. And all of a sudden he jumps out, slits Haley's throat. She's gone. Haley's gone. So, we didn't tell you, her boyfriend gave away his, what's that called? Is it a sorority or whatever?
It was for whatever it is for the guys.
I don't know. It's not called a sorority, but it's called I don't know what it's called.
It's like
but he gave away. Yeah, he gave away his letters to her, and you can't do that. So like all of his brothers came and got him, tied him up to this thing at that play, and so he was all tied up. And so we come to the end where Sydney goes, oh, there's a really cool scene with Gail and Dewey are being chased by the ghost killer. And I'm telling you right now, Courtney Cox, this movie looks really hot in my opinion. I mean, dude,
Her hair, the highlights in her hair were great.
Yeah, she looks really good in this movie.
But I love the scene. I love the scene. And I may jump ahead and steal your thunder here. I forgot about this scene too, but the scene where they're up in the theater booth thing, and it's got like soundproof, and all of a sudden Dewey's on one side and Gale's on the other side, and Ghostface comes up behind Dewey, stabs him, and then he's got blood all over him, and he's falling down the plexiglass or whatever the glass is there, and like Gale's on the other side. I mean, that's a cool ass scene, and I'm thinking, damn, here goes Dewey. You know, he's dead in number 2 here. Of course, I've seen other movies and knew that, but originally I did, and I thought that was a really one of my favorite parts of the movie was thinking they killed Dewey off, and she was on the other side, and then the Ghostface tries to get to her and he can't, and yeah, I mean, then it sets up the final scene really well.
I thought the scene with Dewey and Gale and Ghostface here was really good. I liked it a lot.
I love. Hey, I want to reflect real back. I know we're 26 minutes into this. We got to wrap this up. I love the scene though in the movie. One of my favorite scenes is when Dewey comes back and is talking to Gale, and he's bringing up the parts that she points out about him in the book, and talking about something about a naive or innocent somebody with no experience or something. And then he comes back later on and says, well, maybe that's just a way, you know, for me to say this to prove this. I just love that interaction between those two characters, because he is like a Barney Fife, and he brings that up again. I forgot about that. Where like she described him as Barney Fife in the book she wrote. Yeah, and I just love the character Dewey. I wish I wouldn't have killed him off.
Yeah, you know, at this point they were dating pretty seriously in real life.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if they were getting married yet or not, but yeah, I mean, I like the character of Dewey. I think he's really good. And in this movie, he has like a really bad limp in his hands, all like because he got stabbed in the back in the last one, so he had like a bunch of nerve damage in his leg and in his
Randy calls him out on that. Randy's like, "Hey, dude, what's up with the limp?" And he's like, "It's nerve damage, man," or something like that. It was pretty cool. Yeah. But I love this movie where every time Dewey comes up around Gale or something, or when he comes in the picture of the scene, they play that same music, down, 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 or some kind of country backwood type tone, and I think it's hilarious. I start laughing every time.
Yeah. So, well,
bring us home with the finale here, Josh. Bring us home with
the third act of this isn't as good as the third act of the original, but it's still good. At this point in the movie, I didn't know who the killers were. I mean, you know, when I first watched it. So Sydney goes back to the play where she has the play. Her boyfriend, Derek, is strung up, and she's like, "Wake up." He's got a piece of tape over his mouth. He's like, get me down. And all of a sudden, Ghostface comes up, and he's like, "Hey," takes off his mask. It's Mickey. It's a friend of theirs, Mickey.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's Mickey. And he was like, "Well, Sid," he's like, "thanks to Derek here being tied up, I didn't have a partner all night." He was still trying to sell it. Derek was a killer. And so Sydney's like, stops untie him, is like looking at him, and she goes, and he said, "Sydney, having a little bit of deja vu," because, you know, her boyfriend last time was
Billy Loomis.
Yeah, so I love that he brings that up, and it puts deceit in her mind. So even though Derek's like, "Let me down," and then freaking Mickey blows freaking Derek away, man, straight hole right through the chest, Mike.
Big old hole in him.
Blows him away. Derek's dead.
He tried to mumble something to her, and I couldn't hear what he said. What did he say to her?
I don't know. But Mickey and Sydney fight a little bit, and he's like explaining to her, like, "I'm gonna blame it on the movies. Like, no one's gonna convict me. Like I want to get caught." He says, "I want to get caught. I'm not like Billy and Sue. I want to get caught. I don't want to get away with it." And he goes, "But I do have a partner." And Gale
walks in first.
He goes, "Is that the partner?" And then the door opens and it's Gale. And Sydney looks at her like thinking it's really Gale. Yeah, but then you see it's that reporter woman through the movie that you've kind of seen through the movie. Didn't have a huge part in it. It's played by the God, I can't remember her name, but it's played by the lady who was in Roseanne.
Huh? She's the lady that played in the Roseanne series, wasn't she?
Yeah, as the Roseanne's
Yeah.
sister. Can't remember her name right now, but
She's a good actress.
yes, and then Sydney looks at her, and she's like, "Mrs. Loomis," and you're like, "What?" Like, this is the first time that because she said her name was Debbie Salt. And then Mickey's like, Billy Loomis's mother. And he's like, I bet you didn't see that twist coming, Sid.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. I like that part a lot.
They said she'd had a bunch of plastic surgery and gained weight or gained 60 pounds or something to play it off. That was a good twist, I thought, in it to have her in there.
Well, this is the first time that Sydney's seeing her, too. Now, I never made that connection. I never made the connection that she never was in any scenes with Sydney, which makes sense because Sydney.
She never was in the first movie.
Huh?
She never was in the first movie. One of them, I can't remember if it's Gail or Sydney, said, well, I've seen plenty of pictures of whatever her name Loomis was. And she said, that's what a little plastic surgery does or something like that.
Right, but Sydney recognized her right away, and see, she was smart enough, Miss Loomis was, to stay away from Sydney this whole movie until now. So then the jig wasn't up. So I really liked the two killers, and then Bill and Mickey's like saying something, and then Mrs. Loomis was like, "Oh, Mickey, blah blah blah," and she blows Mickey away, shoots him.
Yeah, you got to also remember Gail got shot coming through. Gail got shot in the side.
Well, she tried to run or something or do something.
She got shot.
Yeah. So she fell in the orchestra pit. And then, so Mrs. Loomis kills Mickey, her own accomplice, because she don't want him. She's like, I don't want it on trial. I do want to get away with it. Like, I don't want. And then Sydney's like, oh, how are you getting away with it? And she's like, everything's traceable back to Mickey. Every single thing is traceable back to Mickey, and I'll get away with it scot-free. And your mother broke up my family, and you're the reason why all this is happening. Your mother, your family, Sydney. Like, everything goes back to...
Tell who walks in next.
Cotton Weary with a gun. And he's like, hey. And then Cotton Weary's still trying to get an angle here. And Mrs. Loomis has her and has Sydney. And Cotton's like, hey, Sydney, does that Diane Sawyer interview sound good still? And Sydney's like, it's done. And he goes, boom, and blows her away. Yep. So, and then of course, at the end, Gail and Cotton Weary and Sydney are standing there, and then Mickey comes up like this, and then they just blow him away, dude. Just like 6 bullets in him.
One of my favorite scenes, though, is the very end when Sydney takes that gun and looks back down at Mrs. Loomis and goes, and puts a big old hole right between her eyes.
Yeah, he goes, it ain't going to be, there ain't going to be, you ain't going to live. So, yep, just like she did to her son, Billy. So, I really liked it. Right here, I give it, I gave Scream 1 a 5 out of 5. I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5, Mike. I like it that much.
Yeah, I mean, I've said a million times, 3's average to me. It sounds like I'm copying you. I was going to say 3.5 too. Yeah. I couldn't get it up quite to 4. I thought if they would have took about 30 minutes out of this movie, shortened it up a little bit. They had a lot of dead time, I thought, in the middle of it, which, I mean, it's not completely dead, but the singing part or some other scenes in there, like, I don't know. I thought they could have shortened it up a little bit, but I still give it a 3.5. I thought it's definitely worth watching. It's a little above average. To me, it's not excellent. It's really, really good. But it's not bad for a part 2, a sequel.
Yeah, it's definitely a worthy sequel.
Yep.
So it definitely is.
Real quick, before we wrap this up, what is your favorite kill scene?
My favorite kill scene is, I think it's the beginning one. The beginning scene is the best. The 2 kills at the beginning. I like the atmosphere. What is yours, Mike?
I was going to say same thing. Okay. I think, where he puts his, that's not Omar Epps, is it? I can't remember who the actor is, but he puts his ear up to the thing and then that right through it. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So the next movie we're going to be reviewing is Scream 3. We're leading up to the release of the new Scream movie. I don't know if we're going to get to Scream 4 in time, but that's okay. We can do that another time. But I think we're going to get the original trilogy done before Scream 6 comes out, which I'm super excited for, Mike. I'm hearing so much. I guess though, watch out, be careful, because there are spoilers out there on the internet who the new killers are for Scream 6, and
I'm
I
not
don't want to
watching
be
any of that
spoiled.
stuff. I'm not
I don't
watching
want
it.
to be. Well, I guess it's like it's not watching. I mean, you can read it too, Mike, on accident. So just be careful out there, guys. So Scream 3 is the one we're going to be doing next, and that's it.
Hey, Josh, tell everybody how they can find us on Facebook.
You could go over to Must See Before You Die Horror Community, and we have a lot of fun over there posting stuff and talking about horror movies, right, Mike?
That's right. Hey, so
Okay.
tell us your comments. Do you like Scream 2? I know we're 35 minutes into this. Hey, it's a 2-hour movie. We shortened it down for you in 30 minutes or less. So, hey, tell us what you like. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like it as a sequel? What is your favorite sequel? They talk about that in the movie.
Yep.
And please like, comment, subscribe. Definitely check us out on Facebook. We like posting all that horror stuff that Josh mentioned. But Josh, you have a good one, buddy.
Yep. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye.